Don't touch that dial because you are listening to Ayo and Valentine on the Smooth Breakfast. Right here on Smooth 98.1. The Smooth Breakfast presents the headlines, the stories, the news. In-depth analysis of national current affairs. Freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1.
Get quick access to loans from Page Financials. Page Financials, taking you further.
Live. Smooth 98.1 Love Music, Love Life. I'm Ayo Myro Essay, and it is time for today's edition of the Breakfast Show, freshly pressed 981 National Newspaper Reviews here on Smooth 98.1. If you're just tuning in, you can join us live on YouTube, youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can also send your reactions, comments, thoughts to WhatsApp 0809 444 0981. Joining me this morning, I have the company of Oyemi Mano. Good morning, Oyemi.
Hi, Ayo, and good morning, Lagos.
Excellent. We also have Devo Okore. Good morning, Devo. How are you today?
Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Eku, where is the food?
All right, we'll find out now actually why Devo is looking for the food. So, Devo, let's go on to our first headline for today. Insecurity. Food cattle dealers threaten nationwide strike. This report is in the Vanguard newspaper. The Amalgamated Union of Foodstuff and Cattle Dealers of Nigeria, AFUCDN, says it will embark on a nationwide strike over alleged illegal roadblocks and multiple taxation of its members. In this report, it says that the onion association have actually gone on strike since or went on strike yesterday. So we are faced with a myriad of issues around security in the nation, and now we're looking at food insecurity staring us right in the face. What do you make of this story?
Well, I can also retitle the headline as "White Government Must Address the Insecurity Immediately," because this whole story is about the fallout of the fallout the fallout of the insecurity ongoing around the nation in practically every nooks and cranny. Now, in this case, the Amalgamated Union of Food, Stuff, and Cattle Dealers of Nigeria. I think this is the first time they're coming to the fore. That's AF DN. They said they will embark on a nationwide strike over the illegal roadblocks and multiple taxations of its members. Now, let's bear that in mind. Illegal roadblocks. Many travelers nationwide now, obviously due to the insecurity issues, there are many roadblocks, and they're claiming that a lot of them are illegal. And at each roadblock, as you know, especially for traders, they usually have to part with something.
Yeah.
And I think they have been kind to call it taxation. Here, we know it's a lot of exploitation because at everyone, with whichever security force that you meet, starting from the police to the military to customs to immigration, something is parted with. Now, they said that they had attempted to strike in March. Okay, there was a 6-day ultimatum, but Kogi State Governor Bello intervened, which they called it off. Now they've said that this has persisted and that uh, they would be throwing their weight behind the Onion Union that had already announced that it will be cutting off its supply to the north because most of the farmers, the onion farmers, come from the north. Now, over the same issues, although the onion suppliers also raised insecurity, the attacks that they have been facing. And I know in the news we've been hearing so many cases of so many commodity people being attacked, especially when there's a perception that they come from one region or the other. I think in some states recently, a truck laden with cattle was set ablaze. Now, they've given the federal government 3 weeks that they cannot guarantee. They're not farmers. They're the ones that distribute the onions, the tomatoes, the peppers, all the stuff that we use to cook and eat food that they move in trucks nationwide. Okay. Then coming to it, also it drives inflation. All right. And it drives inflation indiscriminately because, for example, what's the price of tomato in the market now? What's the
Yeah.
price of a bag of gari? What's the price of
Food prices have
of
tripled,
beans?
quadrupled.
Yes. Now, when this happens, remember, many Nigerians already were trying to battle with poverty.
Yeah.
So how do you now afford 1,000 naira? Can't go too far in most families right now. What you will
Did you
see
say
is
1,000 naira?
yes.
In a day, I don't think it would help a lot of people.
No,
if you,
yes, I'm even saying how long it would last.
Yeah.
You would see people literally take 100 naira and spread it across 3 to 4 days. Now, food scarcity is capable of driving uprising, unrest. Okay, it's capable of boiling over the regions. Let us not forget what happened during the pandemic, during the lockdown.
Yeah.
After the lockdown, the invasion of the COVID warehouses nationwide. It was a unified position from Nigerians. And of note was the issue that took place in Jos. We easily forget how it looked like ants that were crawling all over that warehouse. Those were Nigerian citizens. Even the military at that time could not stop them because it was believed that this was your food.
Yeah.
So government needs to address this, or else if it gets to the point that Nigerians cannot afford their own food, what that will now be the proverbial the poor eating the rich. We must do everything to avert that.
All right, thank you so very much. We must do everything to avert this multi-agency response required. I'm looking forward to hearing a statement from the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Sabo Nanono, and of course, security operatives. Only yesterday we took on the story with a new IG of police saying that they were going to stop roadblocks were illegal, and now they're complaining. So hopefully this should be a quick win for him. Let's go on to our next story. We have federal government asking JUSUN, that's the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, and the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASAN, to urgently call off their over 2-month-old strike. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, gave the directive in a statement yesterday, threatening that the government might be forced to invoke sections of the Trade Disputes Act if the strike persisted longer. Now, the implications of this is that in the past 2 months, courts haven't been open. The police haven't been able to protect. There haven't been prosecutions of bandits, criminals, hoodlums. So if you're arrested, you're just putting. There are no court processes at the moment. So please tell us what they're demanding for. By the way, they're not just going on strike for strike's sake. They want autonomy, especially in the area of finances. They want the salary structure to be devolved to the judiciary. Please take us to this.
Thank you, Ayo. I think I like to strip things of drama to understand it, right? Let's look at, and I would highlight 3 issues on this story. First, there's a breakdown of trust between JUSUN, PASAN, and the government. And it's reasonably so, right? Because they've had agreements for days. They've been here before. And this is not the only agency that we've seen this kind of spiral with. Look at ASU and the government for years. So JUSUN calling off its strike, for them, it's a bargain that they're not sure will get them to the end, right? I'm not sure this is the best call to make, right? No work, no pay. I believe what the minister is talking about, the provisions of, I think, Section 43 of the Trade Disputes Act, which says that if a worker doesn't show up, then for work and continues strike, then they can be their salary can be withheld. But let's look at it. The reality is that in certain states, you have judicial workers that have not been paid for up to 12 months already. So, and that's without the strike. That's the reality. So, instituting a no work, no pay action or threatening that, I would ask, does it take us to the end? How can a society survive for 2 months without its judicial processes in place? How are people being bailed? You can imagine the lawlessness that is going on now. I even have a personal experience, 2 teenagers, young people, that were taking a personal dispute between an auntie who suspected that they stole. And she took them to prison. And they spent the weekend there. No bail conversation, nothing. Girls, you know what could have happened? You can imagine that lawlessness throughout. So let's forget all of, I don't think it's the right call. Personally, because it doesn't de-escalate the situation, it doesn't solve the problem, and it raises a bigger alarm that Nigerians actually have, as in the thing we call the rule of law is actually not true. It's not existent in our dailies, because if we can survive as a society for 2 months without chaos, where we don't have the
So
courts
there is
working.
chaos.
No, when I
mean,
say
yeah.
when I say without chaos, like no, the government is not losing its head. The Jusin is not losing its head. They've gone out, they've gone on processions. The NBA has lent its voice. Everybody has given what seems reasonable to give, right? So I think that this call is the trigger of, I don't know, another level of I think chaos, but I think it's a trigger of another level of chaos.
What do you think
right?
the response of Jusin and Passan would be? Do you think they would agree to call off the strike based
So
on this
they-
invocation?
I started with breakdown of trust, right? I believe that the reason that they don't want to be in this position,
Yeah.
right? And I believe that the reason that they haven't bulged to date is because they don't trust that if they end this strike, that they're not going to be back to square one or even worse off, right? We've seen this happen time and again. There's a memorandum of agreement that has been signed, right? That was supposed to be enough, but the issue is trust.
Yeah.
They don't trust that calling off the strike will result in the autonomy that they need. And the minister has given directives for governors to credit accounts. Across board, we don't see that action as well. So they don't have much to hold on to grant them the confidence.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that instead of escalating by threatening no pay, no work, no pay, I think the minister should be looking at more peace-seeking,
Yeah.
solutions. I
So,
don't know,
so
maybe
that's not the way
yeah, I
forward.
don't think it's the way forward.
All right.
I don't
Thank
think
you.
it's the way
Thank you
forward.
very much, Oyemi. We go on to our next story. It's still on security. And I like that you touch on the fact that we've been without, in quotes, rule of law for 2 months. It hasn't been seen. We haven't heard a response, a statement from the president. However, we have something happen on social media and it almost seems to dominate the headlines. We actually have one of such in the news today, and people have said, and now it almost seems right, that it's a distraction from the main issues. We have other things that are bigger issues we're not dealing with. We're talking about, that is also important, like we keep saying, because it goes beyond the ban, but it's the response time. It's the fact that this is what they made priority, as opposed to things like this that ought to be addressed immediately. Says the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma, who said the security situation in the state is as much as my neighbor.
Yeah,
It happens to be the name of generator, but
That's
now
how bad
now
it's
the
become.
governor saying, okay, well, mine is not. At least only 30 people died. 80
Mhm.
people died. How did we get to this point? Please take us to this.
A telling sound of the times that we are in. The governor strives to project the safety and the security in Imo amid the incessant cases of crime. And he was speaking to reporters while after meeting with the president in Abuja as to, I think there was a notion, he was trying to dispel a notion that 20 people not killed or died at the same time. However, the reporters were not too sure of referring to, whether it was at a state level or at a national level, because what they've stated that there have been incessant crimes going on within Imo within the past few months. There have been several killings of civilians indiscriminately. There have been attack on security forces and their stations, police, the military. There have also been military crashes even within Imo states, especially at a time when they felt that IPOB was they were trying to invade an IPOB hideout. There have been the assassination of high-profile individuals, as we know. Ahmed Gul, an APC chieftain, was murdered in his own movement a few weeks ago. Even the governor's country home was set ablaze completely at a certain point. Now, governor said that he was working with the security forces to ensure security and safety, as other states are doing, and that's where the comparison was coming in, that it's an insecurity is an issue nationwide. Obviously, you can see he's struggling to try and paint a better picture of what is going on in Imo, and he was pleading with the residents and calling on traditional rulers, religious leaders, and community leaders to work together with the government to be able to deliver security for the state. But what can we really say about Imo? Something about governance and also democracy is a government of the people, by the people. It takes the people to deliver democracy. And in this case, it takes the people to also judge and speak. Can Imo people state clearly the level of security coming on, or insecurity coming on in Imo? Because government can sometimes be seen as trying to project a better picture. However, we know that the insecurity in Imo is a little different than the insecurity taking place in other parts of the country, because the Imo State government is currently suffering a major legitimacy crisis.
Okay.
And this has to do with how the governor came into power. You need to ask that. You need to get to the roots of the problem. Can the governor really call the people of Imo together to work with him? Do they agree or believe in his level of government, despite what has happened from the Supreme Court and all of that? Beyond the issues that he's having with his predecessor, Imo really needs to address the legitimate crisis within them. Nigerians are waking up. As long as some of these issues persist and we're not able to resolve them, we might continue in this this way.
All right, thank you. Yes or no answer and question, Divo. Do you think that the governor of Imo State is able or handling or perceived to handle this matter, insecurity matter, properly in Imo State?
Well, I don't want to judge how he's going about it. My point is the root of the matter. Where
Let's even get to the bottom of it.
yes, get to the bottom. If he can address the legitimate crisis, I think he can achieve some level of stability and security.
All right, thank you. While we think on that one, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll take some comments and then go to the stories, other stories for this morning. So we have Page Financials.
Yeah, so thumbs up. You guys got sponsors. What about our pro bono
I
fee?
knew, I knew you
See
were
these
going to say
people.
that. No, because I have sponsors. So I knew that Divo was
A
gonna
wolf
get
is going to run their belly.
Okay, so we need to run. And now we have
Yeah,
like 10 minutes to go. We need to run. Divo, I need quick responses from you.
Okay,
I have to
one-liners.
also take comments from
We'll
our
give you
listeners. I'll come back in
one-liners.
5 seconds.
Oh,
Smooth 98.1 Music Love Life. It's still freshly pressed 981. If you're just tuning in, you can watch what's going on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/smooth 981 FM Lagos. Before the break, we talked on insecurity, food cattle dealers threatening nationwide strike. Also, as David has put it, David on WhatsApp says, my question is, who made the executive superior to the judiciary? Where did the executive get these powers from? The media should actually stop describing the narrative as Johnson versus the government. The right narrative is Johnson versus the executive, as the judiciary is part of the government. Thanks, David. And that's for the headline. Federal government asks Johnson Passan to call off strike. Issues no pay, no work, no pay threat. We also looked at the situation in Imo State. A few comments. Tony from MBIT says, Johnson's breakup from the control of these politicians will be good for the Nigerian people. It may hurt, but that's the way to go. If NLC has been able to do this way, Nigeria would have been better. And let's talk about the Twitter, an update on the Twitter ban seems to dominate headlines these days, but we'll just touch on very quickly, Oyemi. This day reports that the suspension to remain indefinitely until Twitter shows remorse, says federal government. Now, according to a top federal government official, who they have said since the suspension of Twitter operations in Nigeria last Friday, the company has not reached out to the federal government for dialogue. Now, this is against what the U.S. envoy to Nigeria, Miss Mary Beth Leonard, said Twitter was in discussions with the Nigerian government, and they're saying that if they don't show remorse, we'll continue like this. What do you think?
First, I like to look at this story from the impact on the average Nigerian and not just in terms of the economic. First, the human rights aspect, right, which is a critical part of this discussion, and secondly, the fact that how are the other parts of our government responding? So the story talks about what happened at the National Assembly. You had the Minister of Information invited. You had the National Assembly sit to discuss the issue. You had the leader of the PDP, which is the opposition party of the day, walk out on the sessions. And I ask myself, is at the core of this conversation, are we looking at the things that we should be looking at? One, what are the economic implications of these things? In fact, there are numbers being thrown around that every single day, almost $6 million is lost. We don't know if that's true, but the data isn't even coordinated properly. There was, again, when a government makes knee-jerk policies or knee-jerk reactions to a system, it can create unintended consequences that are far-reaching, right? And I believe that that's the key issue here. You're talking about introducing a licensing framework for an entire industry. What are the implications? Is it well thought out? Is it contrary to any of your plans? You are talking about digital expansion, yet you're introducing bans. Is that, how do they play out? Do you get? I don't see that thought, whether at the level of the executive, at the legislature, or even just generally those in power at different echelons of power talking about it. They don't seem to be looking at the core. We said we want digital expansion. This thing that has happened, does it take us further? Twitter is a company, for God's sake. Why is Nigeria is a country? Why are we now grandstanding? Where does it take us? Oh, they insulted our president. That's what you're hearing some leaders say. That's not the issue. How does it affect the human rights of your people? Media rights have been infringed, right? I mean, we carried the story all week, so we don't need to flog those points. They've been infringed. Is that the legacy that government should be leaving on that trail, right? What's the human rights implication? That's the issue. Correct it urgently if you see infringement, and address it. What are the economic implications? What does this do for our goals around digital expansion, investment in Nigeria? What is the imaging to the world as well of Nigeria as an investment destination, right? You can't have a need, you can't just on a whim make policy. And then, of course, the most insulting, I must say, is creating law that does not exist. It's not done. We're not a zoo. And we need to look. Nigeria is in 2021. Nigeria needs to understand. And I don't know. This is a call to all our leaders, whether you are leading a local government area or leading at the federal level. We all need to take responsibility for the narrative around Nigeria. Nigeria is one of the triggers of the world that we're looking at in the future, and that must be at the center of policy making or whatever it is that we're doing.
Right.
And so for me, that's it.
Thank you so much, Oyemi. Chukudi on YouTube says he wants to answer for Mr. Okore on Imo State. Says he feels the government has completely failed as regards to the crisis in Imo State. Ejike Neka says, what does it even mean to show remorse in this case? Should Twitter write a letter of apology to the president or the presidency before the discussion will start? Let's move on away from that to this one. 200 fresh Nigerian doctors in the United Kingdom swell list to 8,384. This is a Punch report. DeVoe, the General Medical Council, which licenses and maintains the official register of medical practitioners in the United Kingdom, licensed at least 200 of our doctors, Nigerian doctors, in April and May alone. Now, this means that every day, 3 doctors were licensed, our doctors. Please take us through the story.
Well, this is just an indicator still on the fallout of not just insecurity, but also bad governance. Now, in this report, what they were saying was that the Punch was doing a bit of statistical review, that looking at the General Medical Council website, that's for the UK, there's been an irony of recruitments in the sense that the numbers of doctors being licensed in the UK have grown about 8,384, and that this increase has been skyrocketing recently. And within April and May alone, they licensed about 200 Nigerian doctors, as against their new policy, which discourages aggressive recruitment of doctors from 47 developing nations who suffer shortage of medical personnel, especially doctors, of which Nigeria is included. So despite the fact that Nigeria is facing shortage, the UK is getting the benefit of our doctors. Now, currently, this statistic shows that it's grown by 3%, and that within the space of June alone, that about 7 doctors were licensed almost on a daily basis, all right? And that Nigeria supplies the UK, if we may put it in that manner, we're the third highest number of foreign doctors in the UK, apart from India and Pakistan. Now, this is still on the fact that Nigeria suffers a shortage. And under the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria's statistics of registered doctors, Nigeria has about 74,500 doctors nationwide for a population of over 200 million. That puts us at 1 doctor for 3,500 patients, far above the WHO's average ratio that you should have at least 1 doctor for 600 patients. Now, the NOI poll show that 88%, which is almost 90%, of Nigerian doctors are considering work opportunities abroad. Okay. Now, experts say that this may be higher due to insecurity and the economic crunch. I mean, this brain drain didn't start today. In those early days, if you remember, like 20, 30 years ago, there was an invisible train that lifted people from Nigeria to Saudi and many of the Middle Eastern countries. We would even say in those cases that they were rich. But now Nigerian doctors are everywhere. When you travel, especially when people travel for what we refer to, this brain drain has led to what we refer to as medical tourism, whereby even though you're leaving Nigeria to get better medical services, where you are headed, your destination, be it Canada, America, the UK, even India, you're going to jam Nigerian doctors there. And this is the irony and the paradox of the whole matter. Now, as you can see already, I mean, there's no gainsaying about the issues. Currently, NARD, that's the Resident Doctors Association, did warn the federal government again that they would resume their strike since the issues have not been addressed. It's a real fallout of dominoes in Nigeria.
So it looks like from the government.
Forget about Twitter and deal with our business.
Yes, exactly. You know, it looks like, okay, the government's response is ban, the people's response is strike. So how are we going to make headway? A few comments, so please keep your comments short so we can read them because of our time. However, Yinka's summary is just saying that with all the things that have happened, what the AGF is concerned about is, you know, Twitter, he's talking about trial of suspects in Top Gear, even though Garba Shehu has said so, nothing has happened. The so-called Bureau de Change guy sponsoring terrorism, no news yet. Just saying that a number of things have been ignored without anything happening. Mabayo Meakari Kiri, thank you very much for your comments. He's talked about saying that it's irrelevant because only 3.5 million Nigerian subscribers or less on Twitter of a country of 150 million citizens. So it's a non-issue that they banned it. Let's go on to the next story. I want us to quickly touch on this. We have two more and just an announcement as we won't be able to delve in. 15.8 million subscribers lose telephone lines to ban on SIM registration in Q1. No less than 15.8 million subscribers have lost access to telecommunication services in the country as a result of government policies, especially that of the ban on new SIM card activation.
About linking new to our SIM card. The first things first is our government agencies need to understand that when you want people buying, people don't understand the why, right? People buy into things that they understand. Citizens aren't dumb. They are supposed to be communicated like they know stuff. That's even how you grow your citizens and make them sophisticated, by communicating to them. This policy was badly communicated. We don't know the why. We don't understand the reason. There are different conspiracy theories. And so it is only normal that, but the impact is what is scary, right?
Yes.
One of the major contributors to our economic activities are the works that the entire telecommunications industry is doing, right? Losing 15.8 million subscribers. Yeah. That's significant. We shouldn't downplay it. There's a GDP impact of that. There's also because we talk, you know, when we're talking policy, a lot of our leaders say, oh, we're doing digital here, we're building this infrastructure here, we're trying to land in space. You haven't even addressed things on land. You're looking at space. These are the things on land. These are the basics. If you're introducing a policy, let people understand why, so that they can buy into it. And let that impact, and let that think about the impact on the market. Think losing 15.8 subscribers in 1 quarter, what's it going to be by June? And the truth is that people have still not linked their name.
Yeah. All right, we have to go. Thank you so very much, Oyeyemi, Emmanuel, and Divo Kore. Last headlines, I won't go into the detailed analysis of that. Fuel tankers misconduct threatening electronic call-up system from the Guardian newspaper. Nigeria Immigration Service reopens passport applications portal from Premium Times. A big thanks. We'll be discussing all these stories in detail during Lagos Talks 981. Actually, we have a special, so we won't delve in, but we'll be looking at the road to 2023 and revolt founder, will be joining us at that time. On YouTube, there's a vibrant conversation going on there, so you might want to go on there and continue conversations on there. We'll stay on for a few more minutes on YouTube and maybe discuss off air if you want to go onto YouTube right now to watch. In the meantime, we'll have some great music lined up for you, and then at 8:15, Iyobong Monday will be joining me to talk sports in the Locker Room 981.
Voila.
Okay, don't be in a hurry to go. We promised our YouTube viewers. So
I
let me
have
read
to-
the
I have
comments
to-
from
I have to run.
YouTube.
What?
Devo, you can't
I
run.
have
Don't
to.
run yet. Wait.
That's my phone.
Maybe.
I put
Okay.
my
Is
things
this it here?
behind because I didn't want them.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So Devo, what they've said is that people have talked about legitimacy of the governor. The how can number 4 be number 1? On very quickly,
Sorry, gotta run.
Devo, you had to run.
Yes.
Tell me about this call-up system now. Discuss. You don't want to discuss it.
Another time. Not today.
Okay, yeah, we have you
All right.
to discuss the passport.
Not
Okay.
yet. Not
Thank you
yet.
very much. Okay, everyone. So sorry about Devo having to rush off. However, we'll still take some of your comments since this will still be live on our YouTube channel beyond now. But the fuel tankers misconduct threatening electronic call-up system, they're saying the refusal of petroleum tanker drivers to key into the electronic call-up system has been identified as a major threat to the evacuation of cargoes from Lagos seaports. Do you have anything to say about that?
I don't have anything to say again. It's still the same thing we were saying about put the cart before the horse.
Yes.
You haven't even sorted out the basics of good roads. Then you're talking about an electronic system that they should get. I don't. It's,
So do you
it's-
think roads are major issues when it comes to...
I'm only just telling you how all of these things work, right?
Yeah.
You want your tankers to say, first things, don't even forget that many of these people, maybe their companies are sophisticated, but the basics, the people that are there,
Yeah.
there are people that may not even understand how those things work, and you want them to buy into it. We're putting carts before horse before cart. We're misarranging things, and that's why
So it's not a matter of the...
it's not a matter. When you see people don't buy into policy, right? You need to understand that they don't get it. That's why.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because when people get it, they will either act or they would show you what they want.
Absolutely.
Right? So if
Yeah.
you're not getting buying, government should actually listen to the people. That's the truth.
So the number one thing is that government is not listening
No,
to the people.
they're not listening.
Okay, so Modukwe has said I should read his comment on WhatsApp. Let me read it. He says this Twitter matter just shows how we overestimate our importance without actual facts to base this on. It's looking like we'll be without Twitter for a long time because Twitter doesn't even see you. They have bigger fish to fry. For instance, India. Speaking of unintended consequences, I doubt Nigeria contributed up to 1% of Twitter's revenue before the ban, and now that most Nigerian users are using VPN, they are seeing more valuable ads from the US etc and actually contributing more money to Twitter. So that is what they're saying. But like what Oyemi was saying, beyond Twitter, it's for the just like you said, local businesses. People who have built businesses around
Entered into
exactly.
Into
Now think of the influencers. What are they going to
Yes,
do?
yes.
Are they going to start returning money? We don't
Yes.
think of these things. And if our justice system was working, perhaps we'd have been able to sue. And yeah, it's true because a number of people are saying how to sue, but how are we going to sue? Then Agop says on this NIN issue, I'm still not clear. Does the NIN mean you are a legitimate citizen of Nigeria, or it just confirms that you passed through Nigeria at some point? Even Agop, I'm not clear on your comment. But the NIN issue is it's your national identification number. It identifies you as Nigerian. And just in a way that I think in the UK it's called your social security number. It makes you have access to certain services. The government identifies you. You are known in the system. Ideally, the NIN should unify all data so that even for your passport records, they can go through the NIN, your bank records, NIN. So it's what we've said that because we keep collecting data from Nigeria, people don't understand what this is for. We had the BVN registration recently. The same information almost was collected for the NIN. Indeed, if you had registered for your BVN, they would have asked you for your BVN number and just taking your information from the BVN to register your NIN. So NIMSI was set up to converge the information and data, but unfortunately it doesn't seem we're still looking. Let me not say unfortunately yet. Some of you will put some comments here that we cannot read out. Okay. Oh, okay. Nas will work on that. Okay. Frank says at analysis. Oh, yeah, me. Right. I think that's about it. Oh, just to give you information on I want to give you on the passport. Yeah, because that's important. Some people have been waiting. Yeah, here it is. It says the Nigeria Immigration Service has announced the reopening of the passport application and payment portal effective yesterday, 8th of June. So the Assistant Controller for Immigration Service disclosed this in a statement yesterday. The portal will begin to function by 12 midnight to allow, so it's already begun to function, to allow eligible passport applicants to apply and make payments for the various categories of passports of their choice. It was slated to reopen on June 1, but was postponed to June 8. So please go on the portal. Let us know, for those who haven't applied for their passports, kindly go on the portal and let's see if indeed you are able to register without any stress or hassle, and let us know. Thank you all very much for joining this broadcast. At 9 o'clock, please join us. We're going to be having Mr. Sisugo from We Vote, and he's going to be speaking on the road to 2023. We want to break it down. Let's talk about voter apathy. Let's talk about the reason why people don't register to vote. Let's talk about the reason why people register to vote and they don't go to vote, because there's a discrepancy in the numbers of registered voters and those who actually show up on the day. Let's talk about people joining political parties, influencing the candidates, because they say that, oh, there's no candidate there for me to pick, but we don't take part in the political process. These conversations have to be had so that we don't come back in a few years and be talking about legitimacy.
And let's talk about insulating 2023 from attack.
Yes.
Because all of the violence that you see is also to prevent elections, right? And maybe not intentional, but they had the consequence of potentially preventing those elections. And that's the way citizens actually correct government, by voting.
Yes.
Excellent point.
So that's a very important conversation. I'm really particular about it. I'm very passionate. We must, and of course, we'll open the phone lines, and we'll also be on YouTube. So we'll be on YouTube at 9 o'clock. If you're at work, put in your headphones and be listening to us. Very critical conversation, and be typing. HK says he did not know that this was where it was happening, on YouTube. Thank you all very much. We have to end the broadcast now, but don't forget at 9 o'clock we'll be back for Lagos Talks 981. Have a beautiful day. Thank you. Thank you, Oyeyemi, for staying back. I think we should do this. This will be the post
BTC
press, yes, special press review. Thank you all very much, Sharon.
Bye.
Thank you, Oyeyemi.
All right.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much.
good day.